to give the parameters a type. And in this case, it's going to be node. We'll just evaluate this script, and it should return back to us an attribute definition. So CA has now become equal to that attribute definition. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the attribute to the actual controller itself. We don't want to add it to the object. We want to add it to the controller. So we need to find, in this case, $sign is going to refer to this object, $sign dot rotation dot controller. It's giving us the Euler XYZ controller dot x underscore rotation will give us the one x-axis dot controller will give us the actual float script controller that's on the x rotation of the object. Make this a variable, con equals. So now that's equal to that float script. On the next line I'm going to say cust attributes dot add. Add to what? We're going to add it to the controller, and we're going to add what to the controller, and that's the custom attribute. You can actually see now that a new track is opened up underneath the rotation called Node Store. Node Store has two controls in it. Two parameters in it, sorry. And let's just go and access those. So con dot node store gives us that node store. Con dot up arm will return to as undefined because we haven't defined this node yet. So we need to do that now. We need to actually give it this node to view, and we're going to be using this node here. Equals $sign. So I just selected the upper arm here, and if I just highlight just con.upper up arm and evaluate it with a shift enter, it will return back this bone now. So I've actually stored this node in here. Let's do this object now, and this was up arm P. So in up arm P on the controller, I want to store this currently selected object, and the $sign refers to the currently selected object. And so now I have stored the point helper in there as well. So instead of doing this now, and instead of having to call on each object by name, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of variables and get rid of this. We're going to call this up arm again. I can reuse it, it doesn't matter. And I want to access the custom attribute that is stored on this controller now by saying this, and this refers to the controller itself, dot up arm. So I'm going to access that parameter. Con.uparm is going to be the same as, in this case in here, this dot uparm, because this refers to the controller itself. Uparm P equals this dot uparm P. And let's just do a couple of print statements here. And you'll see when I evaluate this now, it actually returns bone 07. And if I say print uparm P and evaluate, it'll print out the helper object. So now what I can do is, instead of using the actual bone name, I can say, in this case, uparm, and uparm P will replace both of those. And you can see that my twist bone still works. This has actually two effects. If you notice, we don't need the depends on statement anymore. Doing it this way actually is feeding the information right back into the controller. As this node changes its state, it's feeding its information straight back into it. So I don't need the depends on statement anymore. It also means that it's not name dependent anymore. I can change the name of that bone to whatever I want, and you'll notice my twist still works. The evaluate doesn't throw any errors. So this is a great way to make script controllers non-name dependent. It also can make them faster, because in a large scene, if you're having to access $bone07, it's having to search the entire scene for that object. And that can start getting very, very slow when Max is calculating things and making your rig slow down a lot. So there's two really good ways to set up twist systems for your arm.